Good Friday morning. This is Greg Sankey, the pastor of Calvary Baptist Church, and welcome to Devotions from Calvary. What a day. Today's Friday, the last day of the week, last day of our devotions until next Monday. And from my understanding, if you're here in Ohio, and we are to have some pretty decent weather in the 70s throughout the weekend, and looking forward to that. A little chilly this morning, but I don't mind it warming up to in the mid-70s today, and so even tomorrow. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. Well, I hope you had a good week this week. I really do. And I'm kind of dressed down a little bit today. It's Friday, casual Friday, I suppose. But I hope that the Lord bless you this week. I hope you had an answer to prayer this week. And certainly that God had shown himself faithful, as he always does. And I am looking forward to our devotions, and I hope you do too. We've looked at the will of God the last several days. I think it was from last week, last Monday or Tuesday, that we started, and gave you several questions concerning the will of God, and hope it was a help to you that we can ask ourselves, concerning the Lordship of Christ, having His authority in our life, and having a spiritual, profitable decision in the Lord, and not to be a stumbling block to others. And so there's some of those questions that I hope were something that you ask yourself more than once, and that we might have good leading of the Lord. And with that, the Lord just led me to a different subject. And it has to do, all of this, keep in mind, the Christian life has to all do with the will of God. All right? There's not a day you go by that you dismiss the will of God. It's always a part of the will of God. So in the Christian life, I want to share some things with you, and Lord willing, it'll be a help in our life. When we talk about the Christian life, we're talking about the Christian walk. And so that's our subject, Lord willing, over the next few devotions, the Christian's walk. And what does that mean? Well, Paul writes in the letter to Ephesus, to the believers there in Ephesus, the body of the believers, the church, he says in Ephesians chapter 5, in verse number 8, "For ye were sometimes darkness, but now are ye light in the Lord." And then he says, and that's a given. If you're saved, you have the light of the Lord within you, and Matthew 5:16 helps us with that as well. But then he says, "Walk as children of light." Walk as children of light. That's a pretty big demand by God, but is it? Now I'm going to tell you up front, you and I. We cannot walk by ourselves. We have the Holy Spirit that helps us in this walk, okay? So when he's saying this to the children of Ephesus, walk as children of light, but keep in mind the Holy Spirit is there to help guide us, strengthen us, and teach us how to do this. 79 times you'll read in the Bible that phrase, walk in. Those two words put together, walk in. You'll find it in 79 times that subject comes up. Most generally, it's God referring or speaking of or even commanding his people to walk in a certain way, maybe even describing how they did walk in a certain way. Few times you'll find it more on the negative side, that do not walk in a certain or sinful direction or following after an individual. And sometimes you'll find, Balaam, Korah, even some of the kings of Israel, Jeroboam, those that done evil in the sight of the Lord. But you see these phrases. Now, this has an understanding of walking. When he tells us to walk in a certain way, it means really to walk in his paths. You'll find these phrases in the Bible, walking in his paths, walking in his ways, walking in his light, walking in his truth, or walking in the law or in the testimonies, and even walking in the fear of the Lord. So these are just a few phrases really that are here for us. And keep in mind the Christian life is an active life. It's a moving life. And so to associate our life as a walk, it's a true statement. And so the Christian life is an active life, and we're ever moving. And so I like to share just some truth today, or a few principles as we walk through this. Get it? Walk through it. That just no pun intended. But concerning the Christian walk, and as we just kind of dive in it a bit, I want us to just absorb some of these truths. Okay, so we use the word walk primarily as a verb. It's a verb most generally, in which normally it's coupled with a prepositional phrase. I am not an English scholar, but I do know a few things. So when we talk about walk, or the verb walking, it's normally we're coupled with a prepositional phrase. So walking over the mountain, walking across the street, or even walking out of the room. And so these are phrases, and these are action. This is an action phrase. This is something that is taking place. And so if we look at it in that light, the Christian life is an active life. So I want to give us a key verse, okay? Our key verse will be this, in Galatians chapter 5 and verse 16. This I say then, walk in the Spirit, and ye shall not fulfill the lust of the flesh. Paul is saying to the church in Galatia, if you walk in the Spirit, you will not walk in the flesh. If you walk in righteousness, you'll not walk in sin. So he said, in that there's always two sides, okay? There's always walking in the righteous path or walking in the path of sin. So the Christian life can be characterized by their walk, their conduct in life. The conduct of an individual is characterized by their walk, or really their manner of life, their personality. It can be characterized by their walk. You'll find in Micah chapter 6 and verse 8, He hath showed thee, O man, what is good, and what doth the Lord require of thee? But to do justly, and to love mercy, and to walk humbly with thy God. Even Micah says that your characteristic ought to be described as one that is justly, shows mercy, you love mercy, but you walk humbly before God. So there's two principles, and my time goes so fast. There's two principles I want to show you, and probably do this on Monday, concerning our walk. Walk is an action that is produced, and then walk is a direction. So walk is an action, but then walk is a direction. I'm going to share that with you on Monday. I hope you join me Monday on that, and we're going to look at those two principles there. Walk is an action, and then walk is a direction. So those are some good things that we're going to look at coming up next week. All right, my time is up. And I appreciate you watching these devotions, and it's taking a few minutes out of your day to do this, and it's a real blessing to me. Please watch, like, share these videos. Come by and visit us here at Calvary Baptist Church, 1045 Monroe Concord Road in Troy, Ohio. We'd love to have you come by and stop and see us, and check us out a little bit. If you have any questions concerning the Bible, concerning God's will, concerning your walk in life, and you can contact me, email me at pastor@calvarytroy.com. Love to talk with you about that. You may call the church and leave your number, and I'll get back with you on that as well. All right? Well, I hope that you have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. May God bless you abundantly, and may you have an answered prayer before the weekend is over. All right? Well, listen, this is Greg Stanky, the pastor of Calvary Baptist Church. I hope to see you here at the church, or see you online. Lord bless you.